I hand over the stage to Ms. Swati Chopra, please.
Thank you so much. Hi guys, welcome everyone. It's always so good to be here and exciting to have all of you here with us today as we speak about championing women's stories through in the world of streaming platforms. And I'm so glad that I have with me actor Sonakshi Sinha and Tanya Bami from Netflix. Thank you so much for being here, guys.
Our pleasure.
Okay, so before we go ahead and watch something really exciting, I'm going to take the first question to Tanya. Tanya, you know, we've seen such a significant shift when it comes to portrayal of women on screen, right? And I would like to think that Netflix has a huge part to play in it because we've seen some exciting stuff from y'all. If I had to mention a few, recently there's been Scoop, Love Stories, Delhi Crime, amongst many others, right? So when you build your slate, what is the kind of approach that you take keeping in mind these things?
First of all, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here to listen to this wonderful subject, great subject, I think, to talk about. I think, you know, the way we look at things is that it's a great privilege and a great responsibility to actually build out a slate of titles and voices that actually resonate far and wide across the furthest corners of the world. So we're very intentional about ensuring there's diversity, there is ample creativity, needless to say, and there is a mindfulness in the kind of subjects and, you know, voices that we sort of curate, the topics that we put through. And, you know, as they say, that when a woman stands for herself, she stands for all of womankind. So just with that thought, I think there are a lot of the titles that you mentioned, whether it's Scoop, whether it's Kareena's Jaane Jaan, whether it is, you know, a happy, cheerful show like Mismatched. I think all of these are stories of women who literally had no other choice. And that's definitely a compelling story to tell and a compelling story to experience. And of course, now we are looking to bring, you know, Heeramandi, the big experience, which is a story of 6 powerful female characters, 6 powerful such stories to tell. And, you know, with SLB really putting this entire experience, this OTT experience, as I'd like to call it, together, I think we can't wait for the world to sample it. So I think what the streaming medium has also done is actually taken subjects like female-forward stories and made them central and commercial. And it's no longer sort of relegated to a audience type. You know, so with the success of stories like Scoop, or Heeramandi being made the magnum opus that it is, I think these are stories and subjects and conversations that become absolutely central. And I think that's the way we are approaching this subject.
And it's such an exciting time for all of us to be a part of this change, right? So before we go ahead and talk some more on this panel, I would like for all of you to watch as what is being hailed as one of the most sought-after series of 2024. So before we take this ahead, can I please request you all to play the first look of Heeramandi? Spectacular. I have to say, everyone I speak to about Heeramandi, and if I ask them what's the one series you're really looking forward to, Heeramandi is right on top. So big congratulations for creating, I think, all the correct buzz and excitement around Heeramandi. Guys, can we please hear it once again for Heeramandi? Tanya, before I take my next question to Sonakshi, I think we all sitting here would love to know about this collaboration with someone like Sanjay Bhansali and Netflix.
Well, what can I say? We found home with each other, and it's a collaboration that we are so proud of, so excited about, and I think the potential for all of us, you know, as Indians, as people associated with content and stories, the potential is so immense. That we're almost sort of quaking with excitement, if I may, be slightly melodramatic after that teaser. You know, we're really looking forward to bring it to everybody, and pretty much like this is India's gift to the world. That's the way we're looking at it. It is the power of Netflix with the absolute, you know, bespoke creation of SLB. Every story that he tells is so unique, so distinct. But I think in this one, is a story that he held close, we all know, for many, many years, 13 plus years. And I think it is a show that he wasn't, you know, convinced that can be a film. It is a world that needed a deeper immersion, and therefore the series format fits it beautifully. And I think he's tasted blood, if I may speak on his behalf. he's enjoyed the process so much that he was, I mean, just sharing a short anecdote, he was supposed to direct only the first episode, but I think he's directed every single frame, and Sonakshi would speak to that better than me. He's been immersed neck deep. Of course, he has a wonderful team who backs him and puts the magic together. But in terms of, just the way, the format, the story, the partnership between the two companies has come together, it's pretty much been seamless. He's been immersed in it for the last 2 years, and we're, ready and raring to go.
We're also waiting for it, and we're so glad that Sonakshi, you're a part of this gift to the world, right? Sonakshi, Heeramandi promises to bring forth narratives and women's stories about really resilient and strong women, and you're a big part of it, right? So when you look at this shift about portrayal of women on screen, and what kind of a role do you think an actor like yourself has to play in driving this shift?
I think for me, it's the best time to be an actor today, a female actor today in the industry. And there's so many more openings now with the advent of OTT coming in, doing the kind of work that they're doing, putting out the content that they're putting. More roles are being written for strong female characters, and I'm so, so happy to be a part of that. With this also, I think Sanjay sir and me have been trying to collaborate for many, many years now, and I'm so glad that it happened on Heeramandi, because he's the kind of director who really, how do I say this? The way he portrays his women on screen, I think nobody else is able to do that. And he's just got a very different vision for it. In spite of it being, all these magnum opuses that he's made, really big budgets, all of that, he really takes good care of how all his female characters are portrayed on screen. And that is something that I really, really appreciate about him. In Heeramandi, we have 6 different women with 6 different stories to tell, and each one has been given the kind of importance that every actor craves for, the kind of respect that every actor craves for from their director. So to be a part of something like this, it's been tremendous, to say the least. And I'm really glad that, this is his first OTT outing, because nothing about Sanjay Leela Bhansali is not OTT. And the fact that, we're going global with Netflix, being able to reach out to so many people, this is something that everybody should be able to watch. And I'm so glad to be a part of it.
So what was it like working with, being on the sets with 6 women? What was that like for you?
It was fantastic. I think we should have more women in every film. It was just way smoother as opposed to what people would think, or, by what they've been told, women don't get along. I think here we're just women who are helping each other up and being there for each other, being good co-actors to each other, supporting each other, and it was the best kind of environment to be on a set like that. And the kind of women that are in this show, they're all wonderful actors. You only learn from them, you only grow with them. So it was a beautiful experience, actually.
The sets, I'm sure, felt very empowering as well. Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, Sanjay sir's team is his backbone, and I can tell you that majority of them are women. So it was just, the girls were running the world, and it was fantastic to be a part of it.
Yeah, I'm so glad. We can't wait to watch what you guys have made. Tanya, coming back to you, Sanjay Leela Bhansali is known for his portrayal of strong female characters, and we've seen that film after film. What are the kind of factors that influences Netflix's decision to back such an ambitious project like Heeramandi?
I think first and foremost, it is really about what is it from, the deep coffers of Indian culture, Indian storytelling. What are the stories that we actually want to put out there for our audiences? And then if our audiences love it, like we always say, it has to work in India for it to work globally, right? We all know the power of each of Mr. Bhansali's films. They've all left like a legacy behind them. They're all points of references. They're cultural sort of high points. He captures the zeitgeist every time he sort of presents a story, and what a memorable experience it always is. And I think that's exactly sort of ties in completely with the ethos of what we try to do at Netflix. I mean, if every night is to be a Netflix night, I think what we want to leave behind with every one of our members, every one of our audience, is experiences that they talk about, and experiences that sort of stay with them, whether it's in the form of a film, whether it's in the form of a series, an unscripted documentary, reality show. I think it's a diverse experience, but when it comes from an auteur like Mr. Bhansali, I think the experience lasts much longer. Conversations are much louder. I can tell you the excitement for the show is not just in India, it's across the world. People are waiting for Heeramandi. We've seen that with Gangubai, right? We've seen a post from the Queen of Thailand dressed as Gangubai, sort of enacting that. That's the power of content, and that's the power of, the agency that we as a conduit have for these stories to take it far and wide and really influence people. I really don't have any other way to say it's a match made in heaven.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. Sonakshi, when you're portraying a character like this, it's so strong, yet I would like to see a little complex, very complex female
Not
character.
little, very complex.
Very complex female character, right? So what is a character like that? What are the kind of opportunities that a character like that presents to you as an actor? And how does it kind of maybe push you further to excel on screen?
I think every actor craves for that challenge. When you're doing a film, when you're doing a role, especially for me, like I've grown throughout my profession, I've learned through experience. I started off completely from scratch. I had no experience of being on a film set. I used to not visit my dad's sets when I was a child. I had no training, whether it was acting or dancing or anything of the sort. I was not groomed for it. I was literally thrown into the deep end of the pool and said, okay, now swim. And that's how I learned. So every experience for me was, I really cherish it because I learned a lot from it. Every person that I've worked with, I've learned a lot from. And which has got me to this point today where a Sanjay Leela Bhansali comes to me and he has the confidence in me to offer me a role like Faridan, who is very, very complex. And beyond a point, like I've been working for the last 14 years and I've done all sorts of roles. I started off with these really commercial masala, so to speak, films where it was always about the hero, which I'm not complaining. It really gave me an audience. It gave me a far and wide reach. It gave me the confidence, and then where I was able to kind of shoulder films on my own. That's when I started playing really strong female characters which were different from the other. Whether it was an Akira or a Noor or a Khandani Shafa Khana, whether it was a Dahar. So I consciously chose roles that were something that I've not played before, that I've not done before. And that really pushes me and challenges me as an actor. So when Sir came to me with this, I just looked at him and I was like, thank you for imagining me like this, because it's just such an honor for an actor when a director envisions you in a way that nobody ever has even thought of you as. So that is something that every actor craves for. And when he did come to me, I was like, you know what? I'm on. I have to do this.
And if I may, I've had the privilege of seeing the show multiple times. So what a performance it is. Sonakshi is, I think, best, and
can we
really
please
like
hear
an
Sonakshi
amazing,
Sinha
amazing
then?
portrayal of not just a complex character, but really, really delicious character. She's got all the shades that a woman would, and she plays them to perfection.
Times 10, all the shades that a woman would have, amplified, magnified.
Dramatized.
Yeah.
We can't wait to see all of that. All the shades amplified and magnified, because at the end of the day, it is Sanjay Leela Bhansali. Yes. We expect nothing less and we'll get nothing less. Yeah. Tanya, when we talk about women's stories, I for one think that it's not just women on screen, but it's also got a lot to do with the women behind the scenes, right? And I think, and from what I've seen at Netflix and around, there are a lot of women who are also helming the project from behind the screens. What kind of a difference do you think it makes to storytelling, especially when it comes to women's storytelling, when you have a strong women team backing it?
I think any team needs to be a dream team. That's the sort of fundamental that we operate with at Netflix. But I will say from experience that when it is a team of women, I think the dream team becomes stronger. I think the empathy that women bring is unique to the gender. I think we approach things with a slightly more sensitive, often misconstrued as emotional, but I would say sensitive, a sensitivity that is the feminine touch, and it's something that I think we're all really proud of. I think when you're creating content, you're essentially looking at emotion, you're looking at feelings, you're looking at understanding people. And I think what better approach than to have a set of women, you know, whether it is at our end or like Sonakshi was saying at the Bhansali office, there's a lot of wonderful women and many of our other projects as well. I think when women come together, contrary to all the popular notions, I think it's a show of strength as opposed to any other thing. There's this wonderful saying, I can't remember right now by who, but it says you don't know the potency of a woman until a woman is like a tea bag. You don't know the potency until she's in hot water.
Sonakshi, like you said a little earlier, you've been a part of the industry for 14 years and you're someone who's learned on the job and never really been trained for it. As you sit here today being a part of such a fantastic project like Heeramandi in association with Netflix, if you look back at your journey, what are some of the things that kind of come to your mind as highlights, and what do you think, how have you evolved as an actor over the years?
I think as a journey, I wouldn't change a thing. Every experience has counted to put me where I am today, right? And I wouldn't have it any other way. I've seen my ups, I've seen my downs, I've seen it all actually. And like I said, I learned on the job. So for me, it was actually a very eventful, very fruitful, very a lovely learning experience more than anything else. And I continue to learn even today. Every film set I go to, I approach it like it's my first day on set. And I think that's what keeps me going. This is still something I really look forward to doing every day. When I wake up, I want to be on a set. I want to be a different person with every different film. I want to see what vision my director has and how I can portray it to the best of my ability, right? And that's what really keeps me really excited about the job till today. And yeah, I think the journey has been fantastic, and I hope I continue to learn, because I think that is something that will keep me invested always.
I think from every time that I've met you, I don't think you're someone who'll ever get complacent. So I'm sure that you understand the fact that learning should never stop.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For anyone. Yeah. I think the greatest of the greats that you see today, they are still learning, and they are, okay to admit it. They're open to admitting it. Yeah, so I think it should never stop for anyone.
Sonakshi, as a part of someone in the industry, what are some of the changes that you see in and around you that you feel has fueled and, helped in this change when it comes to telling women's stories?
I think the reception of the audiences, it has changed over the years. Writing has changed over the years. There are a lot more roles that portray women in a very strong light than before, I feel. I think that has changed. Of course, our consumption of content has changed in the last few years, actually, very, very recently. And yeah, I think change is inevitable, right? And we all have to learn how to adapt to that change as actors, as writers, as creators, everyone. So I think we're all doing pretty well so far. And I hope we continue to, because change is always going to happen. Yeah.
I know everyone I speak to nowadays, every actor, every filmmaker, producer that I speak to nowadays and ask this question, everyone says that we are somewhere closing the gap. We are inching towards that, the huge difference is kind of closing in a little bit, and the hope is that you only kind of get very close to equality, right? Before we go, I have two quick questions for the two of you. What is the one thing that you took away from being a part of Heeramandi? Any of you?
You want to go first?
Would you like to go first?
I'll go first. I think for me, I remember very clearly sort of, talking to Bella when I was discussing my possible role at Netflix, and she said, who would you work with if you had a choice in the Indian ecosystem? And I genuinely mean this. I said Mr. Bhansali's name. So I think to see the entire journey of Heeramandi come to life has been nothing short of a dream. It's a dream that came to life across the last 2 years, and it has been bigger, better, I think grander than our wildest imagination. And it is all kudos to the creator, the creative voice that really sort of envisions, a germ of an idea that sort of fructifies into this beautiful expression. I think it is, no dream is too big. And creativity will sort of get us there, and I think there is so much to discover in our landscape. When I look back at the year that we've had with huge successes like Kala Pani, Railwaymen, Scoop, I can go on, The Hunt for Virappan. And as I look ahead, even just today, for example, our launches from the last weekend, Mamla Legal Hai as well as Buried Truths, the documentary series, both are in the global top 10 non-English series. So it is, what an exciting time it is to take Indian stories, Indian content, Indian voices, Indian actors, Indian creators to the world and really sort of open up all the stories that we have to tell, to lean on their creative voices, to really support them, collaborate them, and really express them in the most dynamic visual expression that we can create. And it's been an amazing journey to do that.
Thanks, Tanya. Sonakshi?
I think I have walked away as a more patient and a more resilient actor. Yeah, it's a good thing. Because good things take time and greater things take more time. And to be a part of something like this, to make something like this does require a lot of patience. And I've always been the kind of actor who's been on the ball. Like I switch from one thing to the other very quickly. I know my job, I go to set, I do it well. Over here, you have to mold yourself along with what is being created in front of you. It's a process of complete surrender. And if you are not able to do that, you cannot be a part of something like this. So I think I walked away as a much stronger actor after Heeramandi, yes.
And did it somewhere impact you personally? I would like to think characters and playing certain roles maybe adds to you as a person. Did this
No, I don't take my work home. I prefer it that way actually, because it can really consume you. And I as a person, some people do that and it works for them, it helps them, it grows them. But for me, I prefer to keep it very, very, I like to compartmentalize.
I think it's a great thing. We all can learn from you in
We
that
can
case.
learn. I was just going to say we should all learn.
It's a switch. Switch on, switch off.
Maybe you can tell me later how you're going to do this, switch on and off. Another question for the two of you. When you look at female filmmakers, actors, producers, making a foray into the industry today, when there's been such a shift, right? And I think a very, very welcome change. If you had to kind of give them, say, 3 top advice, or say even one, what would that be?
From a female filmmaker?
Yes, for either an actor, a filmmaker, or a producer, any of them. If you had to say something to them as they navigate through this journey. Yeah.
I think all I would say is go for it. A lot of women have been conditioned and, sort of been trained to doubt themselves for a very, very long time. And they just need that one push where somebody tells them, you know what, go for it. I'm behind you. I will back you. And you have nothing to worry about. I think that first step is very, very important. So for me as a girl also, I would just encourage every other woman who wants to do whatever it is in life that she wants to do to just go for it. Yeah.
I don't think I'm anyone to give anyone advice, but I would just say that don't hold back. We find ourselves in many rooms where you're the only female voice, but I think it's an important voice. It's an important point of view. It's an important perspective. So I think it's important that we don't hold back. And I would say the other thing, since we've touched upon it, both of us twice over, I think it's the sense of community. Women for women, I would say that's more important than anything else. And the perception of, when women work together or when women are together, I think those are populated by, dated pop culture, I would say. So I think fostering a sense of community and really standing for each other is top of mind for me.
And I really do hope that we do get to see more women in our workplaces when, because it's just, like I've done 2 projects now with, which were helmed by female directors. One was Khandani Shafakhana and one is Dahad. And I kid you not, those have been one of the best experiences of my life, of my career, and it's just such a smoother set when it's run by a woman. So I would really encourage more women to get into it.
I think we're already seeing that shift. I think women are really coming forth more confident when it comes to this industry as opposed to what we saw even 5 years ago. I mean, that's something that I see around me. Sonakshi, before we go, it's just a question that popped into my head and I think I have to ask you before you leave. Do you remember the day you got the call for being a part of Heeramandi? Do you remember what you were doing? Do you remember what your reaction was? And what is it that you felt? Please leave us with
Oh,
this.
this is a funny story. So Sanjay sir and me, like I said, we were trying to collaborate on stuff even before Heeramandi. He did produce a film of mine which was called Rowdy Rathod, very, very long back. And ever since then, and he's been very, very fond of me. Like every time I meet him, he's always like so encouraging. He's always praising me. And sometimes it's like, I don't know where to look. Like, I'm like, oh my God, is this happening? But he's been very, very fond of me. And so we tried and didn't work out. He went ahead, he did his stuff. I was doing my work. But we were always in touch over the period of years. So every time I went to his office, I would sit with him, we would chat over a cup of coffee, and I would leave and cut to, he started his project, I'm doing something else, he's doing something else. So I got a call for Heeramandi, Sanjay sir wants to meet you. So I said, okay, great, I'll be there. I live very close to his office. I landed up, I sat with him, he sat down, he came into the room, I sat down and I was chilling there with, Prerna was there. And we were talking and then he came, I said, sir, you know, every time you call me to your office, you give me coffee and I leave. This time I'm not having coffee with you, I'm going to have tea.
Let's change the narrative.
Yeah, I've had tea with him. We've had the same sort of conversation we always used to have. I've gone home and I'm in Heeramandi. So tea is the answer, guys, not coffee.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Sonakshi. And I want to say all the best for Heeramandi. It looks
Thank you so
every
much.
bit delicious, spectacular, and stunning. Thank you so much for talking to me, and thank you,
Thank
you guys.
you, and thank
Can
you,
we hear it
everybody.
once for Heeramandi? Thank you.
Thank you for such a dynamic conversation. Your vibrant insights truly illuminated the conversations, leading us inspired and enriched. Our heartfelt wishes go to Heeramandi, and we are extremely excited. Thank you once again for your presence, Sonakshi. It added an extra layer of significance to our program. Thank you, Tanya, for delivering such an exciting thing. Thank you, Swati, for such a smooth and engaging discussion on Heeramandi. My compliments to all of you for recognizing the contribution and strength of women whose diverse experience share our world every day. Thank you.